So not here. Hold on. Let me share this. One slide. I thought it was cute. Python packages by me. Python's a snake. It's pretty nice. Anyway, so if you all see my Slack message right here, I'll be coding on Jupyter Notebook. So first thing you do is download the data set. It's right here in the Slack channel. If you haven't downloaded it yet, I recommend downloading it right now. It's over there. Additionally, I'll be coding using Jupyter Notebook through Anaconda Navigator. If you have not downloaded it, just go to the Slack and like download this, which is Anaconda, and then it should automatically install. If not, and it takes too much time, you can just code in Google Colab. That should also work. But anyway, so let's get started. So open up Anaconda Navigator. Just like here, open up here. And then it'll pop up. You'll see this, ignore that black thing. It's just gonna pop up over and over and over again. Eventually it'll be here. Yeah. So in the top right here, you'll see Jupyter Notebook, not Jupyter Lab, not this, Jupyter Notebook. Launch this. Oh, and Stella, could you record the meeting?
Yep, it's recording right now.
Good, okay, perfect. Okay, so once you launch here, basically, let's make a new project. So let's make a new folder and like untitled, so click here, rename it, call it like intro to Python. Oops, hold on, I clicked new other thing instead. Wait. Okay, new folder, there we go. Hold up. And once you create a new folder, like I've done it right here, you just go to like, let's say I created this folder right here, create a new folder, and then you're gonna create a new workbook once you get there. So new Python 3 right here, to workbook. Ooh, workbook. Rename it to like whatever you want to call it. I'll call it like intro to Python. All right, and then quickly, I'm just gonna share like some like Jupyter Notebook like tips and stuff. So basically, some useful tools in Jupyter Notebook is one is like find and replace, edit, find and replace. It allows you to reuse code. It's a pretty useful tool. Sometimes when you open and like immediately run Jupyter, once you like actually start using it, it won't work, or like it'll say not defined or not sure work. Let's go to kernel and like restart and run all. Don't worry about writing this all down. I'll share this with you all after. If you want to delete a cell, just press D twice. If you want to run a cell, press run or shift and enter. If you want to insert a cell above or below, insert. Line numbers, just press shift L. Comment, control slash, save. Do it often, it's really useful, or just press this. And sometimes Jupyter will only run the last command. Just use like multiple cells then. But anyway, let's say we're doing a project on California county vaccination data. That's the data set I shared with you. Yeah, that's the data set I shared with you. So basically what you do is once you, I don't like this thing right here. Once you like, oh, what's it called? Like make this notebook, you're gonna upload the file to Jupyter Notebook. Otherwise it won't work. So you're gonna go to upload and make sure it's a CSV file. If it's not, make sure you like save this file as a CSV file, which just means like go to this file, like control save, make it a CSV file. But here, you know, do that. You're gonna upload here and press upload. I already uploaded it, so I'm gonna cancel. But like, make sure you like upload it into here. It has to be here, otherwise it won't work. So give me some time to do that. Once that's done, I guess we can get started. So basically, the first thing to do is like to get that data set into the computer. So I'm gonna use a tool called Pandas. So I'm gonna import it from like this like magical like set into Jupyter Notebook. So import Pandas as PD. By PD, I just mean like, we'll call Pandas PD for short, it's just standard. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna like read the data set into Python. So I'm going to create a variable called overall vaccines. It's just a variable that'll store the data set in the variable. So overall vaccines is equal to, now watch the syntax. I'm going to first call the little module I just imported. So PD. That means I'm using pandas. I'm using PD to do this like special thing. Now I'm going to use the command read CSV, and I'm going to import the exact name of the file. Exactly, including dot if it's there. So right there. And then if I want to see what has uploaded, I'll just be like overall vaccines. This just calls the variable and it'll show it. So woo, you have a data set, first step. So this is like, once you have a data set, you can do really cool things with it. Like, let's say I want to figure out like how many entries are there for each county? Like how many Alameda entries are there? I can do like overall vaccines county, which means that I'm referring to this file is called overall vaccines. So I'm referring to the county entry here, and it'll pull everything from county. So county, and I'll use the command value count. And it should work. And rule, you see, is 816 for each. If I want to see like the full like total rows, like how many rows are in here, I'd be like len. Len is just a command that makes you see the overall amount of rows. So dot county, like that. Basically, there's a bunch of cool stuff that you can do with the data set. I'm not going to go through all of that because that could take like hours. But if you ever like confused, like you want to do a specific thing, go to Google and Google up how to do it. Like if I want to like add a column to a data frame, just go here, click this link, and it's code. Copy the code and you're good. So that's how you do that. But anyway, we're going to get started on the project. So before that, I want to show you like a couple other cool things you can do with this. So like, let's say you have this data set, but like, hold on. Let's say I don't want row 0. Let's say like, oh, this is from January, right? January is like kind of far off. I don't want row 0. I'm just going to be like overall vaccines is equal to, make sure you rewrite the name of the variable. And you're going to be like drop. You have to follow the exact syntax, which is how Python works. But what this will do is it'll drop the row 0. And it'll like, if you call it again, like, you'll see. Dropped. Row 0 is done.
I said,
yeah.
Quick question in the chat. Carrie's asking if you could go over just how to import a data set into Google Colab.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Let's see how this works. Give me 1 second. I never actually used Google Colab in my life, so I'm actually looking for the first time. So let's find out. Besides last week. So I'm just show you how I approach it, how to upload data set in Google Colab. Let's see. Okay, so copy this code right here from google.colab, import files. This is for Google Colab specifically. Uploaded equals files.upload. And then you just choose the file and just choose the data set. So right here. And upload. Perfect. So it's uploaded, and if you want to like call it, hold on. Did I think I actually deleted it. Hold on. And then if I want to call it, I'll just import it into the data frame using this code. So I'll put it in here. And just put the exact name of the data frame. And name it overall vaccine. So yeah, make sure you import pandas, otherwise it won't work. So make sure you copy the same code I did before, import pandas as PD. And that should work. That does not work. Hold on. Sorry, oh, you have to import IO as well. So I've never used Google Colab, so I'm not as familiar with it. I'm gonna do this. That should work. So copy that name, and then it should work. If not, hold on. Yeah. If not, I'll just ask you to follow along, because I mean I've never used Google Colab, so yeah. Stella, if you know how to use this one, or if not, then I'll just ask Carrie.
Yeah, I don't either, but actually Joseph put a really useful tip in the chat on how to get data uploaded to Colab. That seemed to be helpful. So
oh, okay, that works. Yeah, that's probably much easier. So yeah, hope that works. Yeah, I prefer a Jupyter notebook, which is much easier to upload stuff. But anyway, once you get here in the Jupyter notebook, let's say I want to drop a column. So I'd just be I'll copy this part right here. Column. So let's say oh, I see this column right here. It's weird, a lot of NANs. It's just California flag. Why should that exist here? So if I want to drop a column and not have it considered, I just do drop the column name as a string. So that little red thing is string, which calls the column name. And then I'm gonna do axis equals 1. That just means it uses the vertical axis, so it knows it's a column. And if you do that, it will run it, it'll happen. I also know in this data set, just because I've seen it, there's a couple of they also have 2 different entries. You know how it says Alameda here? It also has all counties and all California counties, and I don't really want that because we're comparing different counties. So if you look at the data set, it'll be there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop everything with the word counties just to remove all California counties from the data set. So what I'm gonna do is this, and it'll remove everything with the word counties in it. Yeah, you have to have that tilde there because otherwise it won't drop it. You see here, it's now 485959 rows versus this, which means it dropped the county that was just they had the entries for all counties with some of that in there. So it dropped because you can see the rows, it changed. But anyway, let's start one other last thing I want to do is you see how this says administered date? Because we uploaded from the CSV file, this date is in string format. By string, I mean it's just text. So the computer won't interpret it as numbers or as a date. It'll just interpret it as a string of random characters. So we need to convert this date to a date format. So what I'm going to do using pandas, that's one of the reasons why we also imported it, is overall vaccines, you have to call the variable, and then you have to call the column. So administered date. It's case sensitive, so it has to be the correct case. And then I'm going to use this from PD, which is the module, and then I'm going to use the command to date time. And then I'm going to use that. you see here, the dot just means like calling like a command within that file. So overall vaccines, I'm now calling like the column here, I'm calling the command to date time. And then I'm gonna do DT day, which is just converted to date. And then that converts this to date. So yeah. So now this is gonna be in date format, so the computer will interpret it as date. And yeah, that means we can now start graphing once we create like a minor data set. So this is a full data set. It's 48,000 rows. I don't think you want to work with that. Let's say we want to just look at Santa Barbara data and only like from last week, because it's been like a long time since like it's been since 2020. Your computer will crash and you try and look at all of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do so we're gonna start, I'm gonna make a mini data set. So Santa Barbara, this is like a new variable. So I'm making a new data set from this data set. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call the old data set right here. And then I'm gonna call county. I only have to call county, it'll do the rest for me. So overall vaccines dot county, and I'm going to use two equals. I use two equal signs because that is the equality operator in Python. The one equal sign is an assignment operator. Like right here, it's overall vaccines is assigned to just that value. Here it means it checks for equality. So only if the county's name, like right here, is equal to Santa Barbara, then it'll call it. And I only want like just just last week's data. So I'm gonna do is and, oh yeah, in Python, normally you use and or, but here in Jupyter Notebook for like data frames with pandas, you can't use the words and or, you have to use like the ampersand for and. And if you're doing just or, I'll just show you right now, it's that symbol, the vertical slash, that's or. But anyway, overall, vaccines, so I'm trying to get, yeah. Let me make this code like more readable for y'all. There we go. Like that. It should not work right now, by the way. I have one more step to do before it works. So you see here, I used the command date, right? But date is not a Python command. So the reason I can, so in order to use the date command, I have to import date. Like any like outside thing you use, that's not like, what's it called? So look what I'm doing above, I'm importing date. It's weird when you have to import star, that's like how it works, but like import that. So from this like file called datetime, we're importing the star package, which contains like the function date, where you can like do this and it'll look at the date. And the reason you can do like administer date is greater than or equal to date is because this is now date type. Like Python has many different types, like integer, string. This is now type date because we converted it to date. And anyway, once you do that, call Santa Barbara and you'll see. Oh, yeah, I'm in an error. Hold on. Syntax errors like what causes a lot of the problems in Python. Anyway, see, it's just Santa Barbara data. It's much nicer, 8 rows rather than like 50,000. So yeah. Anyway, once you get that, let's start graphing. The first package I'm going to talk about is matplotlib. This is like the more like easier graphing tool that Python has. So we're going to import it. So from matplotlib, we're going to import pyplot. Pyplot is the package from matplotlib, which is like a graphing library that we're going to use. And we're going to call it plt because I don't want to write the word matplotlib.pyplot every single time. I just want to say like, I want 3 words, much easier. So as plt. Now, by the way, just you can call this anything technically, but it's easier to use plt or like for pandas to use pd because those are conventions. Because like a lot of coding is like, I'm not showing you everything. I'm showing you like some like basics. Like if you want like to Google and like steal code from the internet, they're going to use these conventions like plt and pd, and it's just much easier to use. So once you do that, let's just start graphing. So when you graph, you need an independent variable and dependent variable, right? Or if you can't create a graph, you need like an X and a Y. So what I want from I'm graphing, let's say I want to graph like doses versus date. Okay, simple enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first make my x-axis the date. So I do that by, again, same, it's code is really repetitive here. I call the variable, then I call the column, Mr. Day. And there, boom, it's gonna, Python will do everything else for you. That's it. Y-axis, exact same thing, but for doses. Okay. And then let's like plot it. And then yeah, PLT shell. PLT shell will make it shell, PLT plot will plot it. So we're gonna make some changes to this because it looks bad right now. But as you can see here, we just got a graph. Like, woo, it graphed it. Congratulations, your first graph. Now, if you see here some problems, there's no title, no y-axis, no x-axis title, and this is all like jumbled up right here, right? So I'm gonna add an x-axis label right here, plt dot x label. Oh, and by the way, in Python, using single quotes or like double quotes, it doesn't matter. They're the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna add date and doses. So it's gonna make my x-axis date, my y-axis doses. And title, I'm gonna call it like Santa Barbara doses by date. Okay. And then last thing I want to fix is the font size right here. It's too small. So I'm gonna do PLT. Now notice that these are x-axis tick marks. As such, you call this x ticks. Now, if you're ever wondering like, oh, I want something else that I'm not showing you, just Google it. Like how to if you Google up like how to find like change x-axis font, you'll find that online. Just Google it up. That's how I found this information. But like if I want to change the x-axis font, I'll just be like that. And font size equals 6.5. Only one equals sign because you're setting font size to 6.5. I'm not checking for inequality. And then and there, it looks nice. Like you have day, doses, title, and the graph. And then when you're like putting in print, you just screenshot it and that'd be it. So now the best thing about this like code is that it's reusable. So what if I wanted to do, let's look here. There's Pfizer doses and Moderna doses. So what if I want to compare Pfizer doses and Moderna doses at the same time? So two lines right here, one Pfizer, one Moderna, right? Watch this. I'm just gonna copy this. You don't need to re-import it. It's already imported. I'm just gonna re-import it right here. Make sure to change the variable names that are like different. So I'm not gonna recall this Y. I mean, you can recall it Y, but like it's much easier. So like, let's say I want to call this Pfizer. Let's say Pfizer is gonna be my Y. Be like Pfizer Y, and then I'm just gonna change it to like whatever the column name is. Here it's Pfizer doses. So Pfizer doses. And then I'll make Moderna Y, which is just, see here, same thing, Moderna doses. So yeah. This time, however, we need two lines. So first, each plot, like the command plot plots a line. So the first line, let's say that's like Pfizer Y. Second line can be with same X, as you know, it's still date versus like the dose, still Moderna Y. And then let's just like change this to like Pfizer and Moderna doses by date. And whoa, two lines, just like that. So you see, like a lot of code is just copy paste. Once you make your first graph, that's like the hardest part. After that, it's much easier to make other types of graphs. That's a line graph. Now, what if you wanted like to show, let's say this data for simplicity. What if I want to show this as a bar graph, right? So I'm actually going to copy most of this again because most of it's the same right here. Once I do that right here, I have to change some stuff to make sure it's like a bar graph, not a line chart, not a line chart. So you want a bar graph, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to bar. Okay. X, Y, and then it should That's it. That's it. I changed one thing. Line to bar, and I coded. I'm just going to show you some other fancy tools you can do with this. What if I don't like blue? Just change the color. Just add it here to the bar. Like when you add it to the PLT bar command, let's say I want it to be maroon. It's not maroon. If I want it to be like, if I want the width of the bars to be smaller, I'll just like add that in. Width equals 0.4. Note for numbers, you don't need quotes because it's a number. Only for like words, you need a quote. And it's like that. Any other commands you want, like have to decrease bar height, just like Google it up and copy the code and it'll be done. So yeah, that's how you do a bar graph. The last thing I'm gonna show you is a pie chart. I'm gonna make this one a little more complex just so I can show you what else Matplotlib can offer you. So let's try that. So for a pie chart, let's say I wanna show, I mean, you can't really show like line chart data on a pie chart because we're showing like, we're comparing like different days. But what if I wanna compare, let's look at total doses, like which day had the highest percentage of total doses? That's what we use a pie chart for, right? So I'm gonna actually code this one from scratch to show you what else you can do. So PLT pie. Just wait for the, okay, PLT pie. And then right here, the difference here is you're gonna input the data frame. Like, you know, right here, we put like X and then we put X. You can, for simplicity, you could have like just put Santa Barbara administered date right here. So we're gonna do that right here. So I'm just gonna put the one data set. Let's do like, yeah, what's your question?
Oh, Jesus.
Robert, do you have a question or are you just unmuted?
What?
What makes you pee?
Oh, stop.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you.
Who's got
I cannot
fans
make
in
you.
elementary school?
Did that.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna, like, what you can do is like, you can put the data set right here. Like if I wanted, I could like put Santa Barbara administered date right here. But I can also do it that way. So right here for pie charts, you only need one data set because there's no X and Y, it's just a pie. So let's say I just want doses because I'm just comparing doses. You don't really need a date. You can add dates later, just do doses. So that's the data frame. It'll use that data frame to do it. So now I'm gonna add labels, right? Because like, so they know which date it is. So there's 8 entries right here. So as such, I need 8 labels. Labels will make it like, I want to show you what it's gonna look like in the end. It's gonna look like this in the end. By labels, I mean like October 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna add labels. Equals to. So this is a list in Python. It's another type of data. You just do comma and then quotes, and you use square brackets. Has to be square brackets, not parentheses. Otherwise, it won't input it as a list. So it has to match the number of entries you have. Otherwise, you get an error. Like if I do like, if I just stop right here and like press run, it won't work because Python will input as an error because you don't have enough labels. So you have to like match the number of entries. So I have 8 entries, so I'm going to use 8 labels, 1 for each entry. And between each like thing, use a comma. So comma, let's say I want, well, I spelled this wrong. Make sure you spell labels correctly. Yeah. Now, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna add stuff to it later once I show you how it works. I'm gonna add a title to it. Let's be like total doses, date, and then the show. Okay, simple pie chart. You know, labels, shows pie, title, but it can be much better. So what I'm doing is like, you don't know how much percent it is. So let's say you want to see how much percent is in this. This is a weird command. You just have to like memorize it or Google it up. I'm gonna do auto percentage is equal to percent 1.1 f percent. I don't know why it's written like that. It's really weird, but that's just how Python is. It just some things you just have to like remember. It'll show the percents like that. Anyway, that's one thing you can do. If I want to make it like 3D, I can do like shadow equals true. True just makes it like now it's like a little more 3D. So a couple of things I'm going to show you as well. Like you see how 3.5 is kind of like going into that other, like that red space right there. What I can do to get rid of that is I can rotate the text and change the font size. So I'm going to use the command text props. But the reason I know these commands is just by Googling it. Like I just Googled up how to change text size and I just copied that command. So if you're ever like struggling as to like what command to use and you don't know, just Google it and it'll pop up. So I'm going to use font size of 7. I'm going to set the rotation to 10. And all these arguments, that's what I learned by Googling. Like that's how you learn. There's no way to like know it fully. If I want to change the colors, I can do that too. Like colors equal to like, remember, it has to match the number of entries. I have 8 entries, right? So let's be like orange. Make sure there's a quotation mark around each one or it won't work. Just go to the rainbow. Go to rainbows. Green. Oh, rainbow's violet, not purple. And then, yeah, let's change the colors. It's a little small. I mean, I can change the font size. I can make it like 8. You know, just play around with it, and then it'll be better. One other thing I'm going to show you, one last thing is, what if, okay, what's the biggest thing right here? 23.4, right? If I want to emphasize the 23.4, I can explode it. By explode, that means I can like separate the pie out of the circle, like pretend like you're taking like a slice of apple pie out. To do that, I just do the command explode, and then I put as many entries. So there's 8 entries, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 zeros. So now I change the 0 of the entry that I want to explode. So if I want October 14th, that's the highest amount to explode. That's 1, 2, 3. Third entry. I'm going to make it like 0.2. Voila, it explodes. That's pretty cool. So that's just a basic intro to Matplotlib. That's one package. I'm going to go over a second package. Now, each package, this next package is called Plotly. Note, each package uses a completely different syntax. This syntax I just showed you right here will not work in Plotly. It's like a different language. I'm showing you like these because like each tool is different for different things. Like Plotly has much better features than Matplotlib most of all. But Matplotlib has really good like simple features. So in that case, we use Matplotlib. Matplotlib is also like pretty easy to learn compared to Plotly. So like if you know just this, you're fine. So I'm going to show you like a little like more complex type of software called Plotly, but like it's still like if you like it's still like kind of self-explanatory. But the best thing about Plotly is that it's all online. Like if I Google up like Plotly, how to make a bar chart. Remember, the code is going to be completely different. So when you're coding in like Plotly versus Matplotlib, do not use the syntax you use for the other package because it won't work. But like, if I want to make a bar chart, like, oh, I just copied that. Like that's it. Like, and I just rechange the data to make it work. Like it's all online right here. You can search right here. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to chart in Plotly right now. So just like pretend like you didn't learn this, like remember it obviously, but for Plotly, use something different. And you can use either Matplotlib or Plotly or whatever you want when you graph. So I'm going to import Plotly. Now the official name for that is like Plotly Express as TX. I'm just going to import it. And now let's say I want to do a new project. Let's say I want to do like, let's say I want to look at compare counties. Like I want to compare, let's say I want to compare, let's see. Let's say I want to compare my favorite counties. Okay. We'll do overall vaccines. And it's the same thing. Watch it. It's going to be the same thing over and over and over again. Overall vaccines, dot county. this is because this is pandas. We're creating a new data set. And let's say Santa Clara County, because I'm from Santa Clara County. Okay. Now I want different data sets, not just only Santa Clara. So I have to use or will like take multiple entries. So that's or. And then we're doing the same thing again. Overall vaccines dot county double equals, because it's checking for equality. Let's say Santa Barbara, because I'm in Santa Barbara right now. Enter right here. And then let's do one more, just for funsies. Let's see, overall vaccines.county. Let's do Alameda, because I currently live in Alameda County. Okay. And then it'll create the data set. Like if you want to see it, it's going to be like right here. It doesn't really matter which counties you use. You see, it'll show you all the entries for Alameda and Santa Clara. But look, it's all, I don't want all these dates. That's way too much. So I'm just going to do the same thing again. But this time I'm just going to call the data set itself. So I'm going to edit the data set. So I'm going to use that dropping technique I showed you. And I'm going to use the dropping technique by just using this, like setting it equal to date past that. So watch this. Has to be square brackets, then parentheses, otherwise it won't work. And then I'm just going to call the thing again. And then I'm going to call the column. And then I'm just going to do the same thing I did previously. Okay, now I'm going to show you one last thing. You see how these are so many rows? What if I want to see all the rows? I'll use a command from pandas, PD, and then I'm going to set the option. And I'm going to display max rows. One note about this is that if you have a large data set, like a 50,000 data set, do not do this because your computer will crash. I know because I tried this out last night and my computer crashed multiple times. So make sure your data set is small when you're doing this. But if you want to see all the columns, just do that and you can call it. Make sure before you like call any large data set to change this, you can just change it by like making like 10 or something. It'll like prevent that from happening. But ooh, I can see the entire data set right here using this command. It's a pretty useful command. Make sure you only do for small commands for small data sets, otherwise your computer will crash. And I know that because I tried it last night. It wasn't fun. But anyway, let's start graphing now. So let's say I want to do like a line chart. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do first before I make it. So let's say I want to make like that, this, okay? Line, 3 lines on one. The best part Plotly, by the way, is that it's interactive. If I click on this, it's interactive. Like I can click on it. That's why I like Plotly a little better. But Matplotlib has much better advantages, which I'm not going to get to because it's blah. But anyway, Plotly is like completely different syntax. So pretend you're starting anew. Where is it? Right here. So fig line is the variable. So I'm making this so in Matplotlib, you can just like plot it directly. Here, you have to like make it equal to a figure. So this is like the figure's name. So, and I'm using command px, using px because we imported Plotly as px. So first thing I do is I'm calling the data frame. In Plotly, you have to actually call the data frame. So this is like different than Matplotlib. So don't get confused between Matplotlib and Plotly, because whatever you do there doesn't really apply here. It's kind of similar, but like not exactly. So now I have to call the X variable. I don't have to use the dot thing anymore because it already knows it's my favorite county. So I can just directly enter the column name. Okay, and then I'm gonna do like Y is equal to total doses. And then, but guess what? Now you have date and doses, but how does it know which county appears to which line, right? There's nothing yet. So use this command called color. Basically, it'll change the color for each different county and it'll show you like which is which. So color is equal to county. Remember, it's case sensitive, has to be county like that. Okay, and then let's title the graph. I'm going to show you one other special thing. This works on only Plotly and only Plotly, nothing else. That means bold. it won't show the slash, the carets and the B. It'll just make the title bold. It's just a fun, it's an HTML tool, but it works in Plotly. So yeah. So this, that B thing makes it bold. And then I'm gonna change some stuff because I don't want my x-axis to be called administered underscore date. That's kind of weird, right? So I'm gonna just change the wording of this. So I'm gonna labels. Labels just means change the wording. So I'm just gonna change the wording. So I just enter the wording I want to change, colon, and then import the new wording, and it'll work. It's just, you know, for like cleanliness, it's a nice thing to have. Then let's do like Mr. Date. And then let's end this. I have to use another parenthesis here because I started with the parentheses. I have to end with the parentheses right here. So that you did, you made a line. So let's just show it. Fig line. You have to call it here. Fig line and then show. Hold on, I'm in error. Indentation. Indentation means like hold on, that should work. Does that work? Okay. What other error here? Let me do this later actually, and then it should work. Try that, and then I'll fix that afterwards. Do I want to import it? Hold on. Oh, let's try this. There we go. So what I think I accidentally said in the beginning, you don't have to say data frame equals my favorite counties, just do my favorite counties like that. So just like input my favorite counties. You don't have to do data frame equals my favorite counties, and then X, Y, color, title. And now I'm gonna do like the little labels thing. I'm just gonna like copy paste just so I can like go through it faster because I already did through that. Labels equal to that. And then the last command, markers equals true, that'll show dots. So like you can see like which day it has like which actual data point. It's just like, hold on, I hit those. There we go, like that. You can see here it's bold. If I want to like change the format of everything, I can be like fig line dot update layout. Now there's like almost like a million like different ways you can update layout. Just Google up like how to update like the exact layout you want. Like if I want to update the titles x-axis, I can be like move the title to 0.465 and it'll move it there. If I want to update the like font to black, do like size equals 15. Dict just means like it means dictionary, and you're like it creates like its own dictionary, which is just like a way of defining title font. It's just another way to make a dictionary. Like if it seems like kind of complex, just know like even if you don't understand it, if you just copy the code over and over again, it'll work, and you can like find out like which part is the error if you make an error, and then change it. And you can do like width and height, and like all of this I learned just from like Googling it. So like how to change the width, Google up and you'll copy. And ooh, it looks like that, much neater, like that. Anyway, let's say you want to make a bar chart with Plotly, right? Because we're doing that. It's like basically the same thing. Code is reusable. Control C, Control V. Let's call this fig bar. px.bar. And then let me see if anything else is different. Oh yeah, and the one difference is that you delete markers equals true because this is a bar, there are no dots. It's a bar chart. And no, this is cool. I'll show you the stack bar chart. Like you can see like it compares the three. Like, okay, on October 12th, which county had the greatest percentage of doses? You can see here, Santa Clara had the greatest. Here, Santa Clara usually had it, but you can also compare like this And it's really cool because, you know, it's interactive. Like if you're looking at Matplotlib, if I scroll here, nothing's showing. If I scroll here, I can actually see the different data, which is why I personally like Plotly. But Matplotlib is much simpler, and Matplotlib looks good on phone, and this does not. But anyway, that's like one nice thing you can do. I'm going to show you pie charts as well. It's basically the same thing again, with a little difference. And the code is reusable. Big. This pi now. Pi. Call this px.pi. Now remember, it's a pie chart, so you don't really need like an x and a y. Instead, you need for Plotly, you need values and like labels, but labels is called names. So here I'm gonna make names the date. So in the same way we made like right here, these are labels. Here you just call them names. So it's gonna be date, and then let's call and this is the data, so I call it values because values. And let's change the title to like Santa Barbara doses administered. And there's no county here, so I can get rid of county. And then that should work. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes this, that's like, oh wait, hold on. One mistake I made. Wait, hold up. Get rid of this. You don't need color equals county here. There we go. Get rid of color equals county. It doesn't apply to pie charts. It's only for bar and line charts. Anyway, right here you have date. So see, Plotly is smart. It put it out here because like it knew what it says here. Like, and if you look here, the date, it's right there like that. If I wanted to, I could be like, I can add a legend title. To do that, I just go like comma, make sure the comma, legend, title, text, which again, I just found the command by Googling it, and be like dates, greatest to least, because it's an order of greatest to least. And let's move it to like, let's move it closer because like it's kind of far. Okay. Oh, like that. It's too close now. 9. Oh yeah, and for these numbers, like I know the numbers because I've tested it out. That's why I'm like giving it to you. It changes for every graph. Just like play around with it until like this looks a little off. Be like 4, 7, 5, and you'll get the hang of it eventually. Just like play around with it and you'll get it. So that is everything big, like every like basic graph. I'm gonna go through one last thing to end it. But before I go to the last thing, it's a little like it's on the more advanced side. So before I go into that, this is how you create like a line, a bar chart, a pie chart in both Plotly and Matplotlib. And just know like doing all of this, like it's all Googleable. Like right here is Plotly's entire documentation. You just Google up Plotly and then you'll find it. You don't have to like just Google up like Plotly, pie chart, like labels not working. Pie chart not showing all data. And here, stack over, just like find the exact part of this data that you need. Like if you're missing, like, let's say you're missing, I don't know, like the value counts. You don't have the value counts. You can just Control-C, Control-V like that. So just like a lot of it is just like doing research on your own. But yeah, I'm gonna go through one last thing. This is pretty complex, so don't worry if you don't get this. It's more for anyone who like, if you want to try, I recommend going through it. I'm gonna go through a little fast because it is meant for people who are more advanced, but it's nice. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna create. I'm gonna create this. Okay, so this is a graph. Right, it's just Santa Barbara Pfizer doses. It has a drop down, Moderna doses, and it changes the title. If I wanted, I could change the axis titles too. I can do all of that, and it changes the graph based on the drop down. It's a more like advanced, complex type graph, and it has a lot of code. So I'm gonna go through it, but if you don't get it, that's fine. I'm just explaining like how to do it. So I'm gonna use the original data set for this actually. I'm gonna just use Santa Barbara, and I'm gonna compare. You know how we did like Pfizer and Moderna doses by day? I'm gonna compare Pfizer and Moderna doses for Santa Barbara with 2 different charts. and then as a drop down. So Santa Barbara, we already have Santa Barbara defined, so I don't even need that. I'm going to import a new tool. To do that little like double line thing, I have to import a different version of Plotly. It's the older version, but it's the only version that allows you to do that. So Plotly.graph objects as go, so objs. Okay. Now it's called like big Santa Barbara. Now, in order to access these, like, oops, one other mistake. It's not .go, it's as go. So make sure you change that. Fig Santa, I don't like caps. It's case sensitive anyway. So I must now use the go properties, like make it like a go figure. If it's not a Plotly graph object figure, it won't work. So I'm gonna make it a go figure. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a trace. A trace means like a line. It can be like a bar, a line, whatever you want to be. So I'm adding a trace. Trace is like one line, one graph. Okay. And then let's see, like go. Let's see this. Go, not here. Let's do it right here. Go. So you're gonna use the command from go. I'm gonna use scatter. Now you're wondering like why I use line. The file doesn't have a command for line, but by doing scatter, it automatically connects the dots together. So like you can obviously unconnect the dots if you like put like don't connect, like you false, but like that's just the command for it. So I'm gonna do another bracket. I'm gonna use x is equal to list. It has to be list because it's a little older version. You have to like do a little more defining. And I'm gonna call the same thing again as x. Administered date. Let's do like y equals list. Let's do Pfizer first. Barbara, done. Pfizer doses. And then I need to name I have to name the trace. It's just something I have to name the trace. So like, it just, you know how it says like Pfizer doses here? I have to like name it so you can get that little Pfizer doses in the hover label. So I have to name the trace. This is for this like special drop down thing. So name is equal to Pfizer doses. I'm going to set the color of the line. You have to use the dict. That's just like how it works. And then I'm going to set it to like steel blue. And if you want a list of all the colors, just Google up like CSS colors and then it'll pop up. I don't know why I did close to that. That's not good. Okay. And then I want, this is Pfizer. You see how like at the beginning, Pfizer is visible and Moderna is not visible, right? Because of that, I said visible to true. So at the beginning, it'll show Pfizer only. Okay. And then, I have the ending version needs to match with this. Okay, that's one trace. I have to add Moderna, right? I'm just gonna copy, paste. I'm still adding it to the same thing, so it's all good. The only thing I change here is this. Moderna is Pfizer to Moderna, and then I change the color, obviously, because I don't want the same color. Moderna. Let's make it cadet blue. It's just another color, just a list of CS colors. If you want the full list of CS colors, just like do the code and like put it in wrong, and it'll give you an error, and it'll show you all the colors. I'll show you that afterwards. But I want this visible to be false because I don't want to see two lines in the beginning. I just want to see Pfizer in the beginning. So there. Now I'm going to create the graph. So I'm going to use the command update layout. And we're going to do everything in update layout. So let's do like update. Let's go here. Update menus. Update menus is the code, is the command to create the button. So dict, and it'll do like direction equals down. This makes the button like a down button. Like if you click it, it'll drop entry, like it'll make it enter down, like that. Okay, so enter down. I'm going to make active equals 0. This means that like the first entry right here, which is 0. In Python, everything starts from 0, not 1. Active equals 0 makes the first trace like the first active button. And I'm going to set where the button will be located. This is usually done for like trial and error. I did that, and I'm going to give you the coordinates for like speed. Okay. And I'm going to create each individual button. Okay. So the first one, you have to use, it's just copy the code. Buttons equals list, and then you have to create a new dictionary because you're defining the buttons. Labels, label, not label, one label. Okay. Remember, once you do one, you can copy for the rest. Five of those. Okay, comma. And then I have to do this. It's called method. Method is just the design of the button. There's 4 different types. I'm not gonna go into all of them because again, this is like a speed run, but method equals update. That's the like most features. So you just have to use the method equals update. It makes the update button. And then the update button is like the most like best one. Sorry, this goes a little over time, but yeah. And I'm gonna use args. Args are like just ways to like define the like define it. So like I want it to be visible at, I want the buttons, you know, to be visible first only for Pfizer. So true and then false. The reason it corresponds to the scatters right here, true and this is false, so it has to be true and false based on that. Okay, comma. I'm just gonna do the same thing right here. X axis, colon. I'm gonna make it title now. If you know here, I'm using like a lot of different syntax.